Are you autistic and have been a victim of bullying when you're younger? Like when you're a child, you got bullied a lot in school. And now you feel like that bullying has permanently affected your confidence and self-esteem, and in that it caused trauma in your life, and you have a hard time letting go of that and dealing with it. It's like it's stuck with you. Well, if you say yes to this, first of all, I'm sorry you experienced this. And second of all, I got good news. Outlined in this video, I'm going to talk about many different ways where you can let go of the grip that people's bullying has had on your life so far. All right, well, let's get started. All right, well, before we get started, I just want to let you know, my name is James, and welcome to my channel, InfoLove. I like to spread information, awareness, and helpful advice about autism, ADHD, and mental health. If you like this sort of thing, please give this video a like and subscribe. All right, well, let's get started. If you've been bullied as a child and feel like you're impacted by the bullying today, I just want to let you know you're not the only one, and this happens to a lot of people who've been bullied a lot when they're a kid. If you still feel angry about bullies, even though it's happened a long time ago with the things they've done, you're not crazy, and I just want to let you know you're not broken. So whatever kind of feelings you feel, even if it's like 30 years later, don't feel ashamed. You've been mistreated, and you probably haven't dealt with and processed the feelings properly, so your feelings are valid. Childhood bullying can cause long-term impacts like trust issues, low self-worth, and complex trauma. All right, so now you probably want to deal with these feelings and let go of this sort of trauma that these people put on you. So what do? All right, the first thing you can do is process the trauma. The impact that you get from bullying is literally complex trauma, like the same kind of trauma you get if you have toxic families or abusive parents, or been impacted by living with narcissistic family members. It is very helpful to understand that. Like being in these kind of situations, you're trying to survive the situation in your own way. So you develop these sort of survival patterns. But now these survival patterns are no longer supportive for you. But now that you're no longer in these situations, these survival patterns no longer serve you. And you have to change these core beliefs, change these beliefs that you need to survive in these situations that no longer exist. Whenever you feel insecure or inconfident, or feel imposter syndrome, which is the belief that you can't do certain things in spite of past successes and other people saying you can, take note of these thoughts. You might want to write these thoughts down or write these feelings down on a piece of paper. And then tell yourself that these beliefs are probably not true. Then look deep down inside, do some introspection, and then find the cause of these feelings. And likely it's because people were bullying. A lot of times it comes down to this. When people bully and say mean things about you, it's never true. Even though it may seem like it at the time, it is not true. It doesn't define who you really are. Go down each thought you have down on the list, feelings about yourself, and try to change these beliefs. Understand that these are coming from false beliefs, and try to change this core belief into a belief that is true. Now, it's true you might have a mental or physical defect or something that's different. You may have a big nose, you might have a gait that's different than someone else when you walk, or you might stutter when you talk. Sure, that is true, and people will say that when they bully and talk about these sort of features that are true. However, what isn't true is how it defines your self-worth, who you actually are as a person. It doesn't mean you're not worthy of love. Yes, each of us have autism, and it can cause us to struggle in our own unique ways. And this may make it harder to achieve certain things. However, these struggles doesn't mean we're broken. It doesn't mean we're less of a person. It doesn't mean our autism is an overall bad thing. It doesn't mean that we can't love ourselves for who we really are. It doesn't mean that other people can't love us. We are all worthy of love. You are worthy of respect. All of us autistics are worthy of respect. No one's perfect. We all have our imperfections, but it doesn't define us and make us less of a person. So on a sheet of paper, look at all the things you wrote down and change all these faulty beliefs you have about yourself into beliefs that are more true. Beliefs that show that you are a worthy person. In other words, a belief that is more positive and more real, that shows that you're more worthy of a person and more capable of doing certain things. Focus on your strengths, talents, achievements, Change this core belief into something that gives you more confidence and self-esteem. This may not be something that could be done overnight. It will take time, but the more you do it, the better you'll heal. And you'll thank yourself later when you feel more confident, happier, and you have less bitterment towards people in the past. Acknowledge the impact of what happened in the past. Be honest about what they did and how it affected you. Give yourself permission to grieve and do it in a safe environment. You may do this by talking to a trusted individual. Give yourself some alone time or journal. So look at all the things you wrote down on a sheet of paper and change these false beliefs you have about yourself into beliefs that are more true. So on a sheet of paper, look at all the things you wrote down and change all these faulty beliefs you have about yourself into beliefs that are more true. Beliefs that show that you are a worthy person. Also, give yourself the support you deserved, like when you were a child. Sometimes it may help to actually visualize yourself as a child, visualize your child version of yourself during that time you got bullied, and talk to that person like it's a separate person, like it's your friend, and like you're a parent. It's called inner child work, and you can tell them that you love them, that they're amazing, and that they're worthy. This may sound really silly, but trust me, it does work. Sometimes you may have the tendency to fall in the trap to try to prove yourself that you're a worthy person in the future by trying to make more friends or try to find a certain career or achieve certain things that don't really exactly make you happy just to prove yourself that you're more of a worthy person. Some people will do that by trying to make as many friends as possible to try to prove that they're popular or try to get in relationships where they feel like the person's hard to get and then inevitably get into abusive relationships. Or they may try to force themselves into a career that's impossible and overwork themselves to death. Or they may become workaholics and overwork themselves and become unhappy because they're living an unbalanced life. And even when they do achieve successes, they still feel doubtful about themselves. Or start drinking, vaping, or doing drugs in order to fit into a group that they feel is cool. Yeah, don't do that. Trying to prove yourself will just lead you to just chasing more things, trying to prove yourself. That will eventually lead you to only temporary satisfaction, but then to try to chase more things, that will just only lead you to feeling exhausted and burned out and feeling worse. What does work is just changing your core beliefs from the past. Understand that what happened in the past is something that you didn't deserve, and you're a worthy person. And you're worthy of respect and worthy of confidence, and you have no reason to have no self-esteem or low self-esteem. If you find yourself experiencing a flashback where you're suddenly being thrown back to a memory where you feel like, why did this person do this to me, and why am I still thinking about this? You might want to try breathing. You can do box breathing where you can inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds. Or you can, when you inhale your breath, do it slowly and visualize clean, calm, peaceful, healing energy go in your body. And then when you exhale, visualize the crap leaving your body and into the earth to be burned at the core of the earth, or into a fire, or just disappearing when you exhale. You could also practice mindfulness where you can just be an observer of your thought and just allow your thoughts to just naturally go its way without judgment, without trying to do things, without trying to think about the thoughts. Just acknowledge the thoughts that are there and just let them pass. That helps. It's like a form of meditation where you're not trying to think about the things, but just simply observe the thoughts going through your head and watch them pass away like clouds going across the sky. If you do that, you'll find the feelings you have will eventually pass. Another thing I recommend doing is explore specialized therapy. You may need to see a therapist, and I definitely recommend seeing a therapist. I would recommend looking into trauma-based cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Some other therapy you can do that helps is eye movement desensitization and processing, or in other words, EDMR. If this interests you, I recommend looking into this more and learning more about it. I also provided some links on how to find therapists in your area and how to get started in finding a therapist if you want to find a therapist but not sure how. Another thing I recommend is trying to find a neuroaffirming professional, such as someone who works with autism or is familiar with autism. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about, and I think it's very important. I think it's very important if you have autism to find a therapist who also understands autism and has worked with other autistic people, because if not, you can risk making your therapy sessions not helpful, and sometimes on some occasions, working with an NT therapist who doesn't understand autism, it can actually make your therapy sessions worse. Try to work with a therapist or a neurological professional that understands autism, that works with autistic adults, and doesn't view autism as a deficit. Here's some more tips you can do for yourself that can help you. 1. Define acceptable treatment. Write down clear personal rules with how other people should speak and treat you. Communicate your limits. Practice telling people directly when their behavior crosses a line into disrespect or inclusion. Reevaluate your relationships. Distance yourself from people in your immediate social circles or even families who mimic the dismissive or mocking behavior you've faced in the past. And another good thing you can do is build supportive connections. Join niche communities. Join community activities, local or online groups with other people who have similar special interests to you. People with similar obsessions and hobbies where you can meet welcoming peers. And new potential close friends and groups where you can feel a part of. Consider peer mentoring. Sometimes it's helpful and healing to connect with other autistic adults who have experienced similar situations in their past. This can often offer mutual validation. Practice self-compassion. Release the pressure to mask your natural traits around people in order to fit in, and allow yourself safe space to rest and recover from social stress. Another thing that's helpful is be aware of outdated advice that your parents or teachers might have told you while you're being bullied to help you feel better that actually isn't true or actually isn't that helpful in truth. For example, people might have told you the people that bullied you will live unsuccessful, unfulfilling lives in their future. In truth, you have probably grown up to realize that that's not true, that many people who have bullied are actually pretty successful once they grow older. Because a lot of bullying happens as a result of a power imbalance due to a person being able to socialize better than another person. A lot of times these people end up becoming successful because they can socialize and network with other people. As you know, they often say, it isn't what you know, it's who you know. And so as a result, being that a lot of people who have good social skills, they end up being successful. However, obviously, this isn't the case for everyone who bullies, though. Realizing this is actually helpful because it prevents another layer of resentment that you got to deal with during your healing process when you get older. Another example of an outdated, unhelpful mindset that people tell you is that you should ignore bullies and they'll stop. In truth, this isn't always the case, and sometimes it can make bullying worse because you're being shown that you're a weak target and someone to push around. And sometimes if you don't stand up for yourself, this can affect you in the future when people may take advantage or can cause people to push you around because you don't know how to set boundaries properly. Understanding that sometimes ignoring doesn't help you can help you set boundaries when you're older. And I think setting boundaries is really important. It's important to learn how to say no and to exercise your boundaries in a way that's appropriate. It's good to know when to devote your time to other people and when it's a good time to devote your time to yourself without feeling bad. Then there's the other people that try to help you by saying the opposite. Just stand up for yourself, be tough. Or if you're a guy, they tell you, be a man, man up. Now, I did say it's important to set boundaries, but it's very important to also not go too far the other way where you're learning to be aggressive all the time in order to get things done and to solve problems. It's good to be tough and firm, but if you act tough by exercising aggression, this can be bad in the fact that it can negatively impact your future. If you make this too much into a habit, it can negatively impact your relationship with your coworkers, friends, family, your kids, and even your romantic partner. Another outdated, unhelpful mindset that a lot of people will sometimes tell you is that they often say that everyone gets bullied. And in truth, that's actually not true. Some people get bullied, but not everybody does. And it's fortunate that some people don't, and it's unfortunate that some people do. Being made to believe that bullying is normalized and that everybody gets bullied can cause another layer of grief and resentment that you have to work through during your healing process when you finally look back and realize that not everybody did get bullied and not everybody does get bullied. However, if you've been bullied, understand this, you're still not the only one. There's other people out there that also have been in your situation and have been bullied as well. And lastly, I want to say, if you've been a victim of bullying in the past, I just want to let you know, I am so sincerely sorry that you've experienced this. I know it's not fun. When I was younger, when I was a kid, I got bullied by my neighbors. When I got into 8th grade, I moved to a different state and went to a new school, and I got bullied some. Now I was lucky I didn't get bullied as much as other people that I've heard who have autism, and I just want to let you know, just with what I experienced, it sucks. And I know a lot of other people experience way worse, and I just want to let you know, it really breaks my heart that you had to experience that, and I just want to let you know you didn't deserve it. Understand that you're not broken. You just have a different neurotype, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like we have a different operating system, has advantages too, just like everybody else that has their unique advantages. So love and embrace yourself. You are uniquely special just the way you are. Well, if you liked this video and found it helpful, and you want to watch more videos about socializing, such as videos on how to socialize in a group when people talk about things you don't know much about, and how to connect with these people anyway, and have some really helpful tips on how to do this, I bet you will like this video right here.